So I've been building products for the last 14 plus years. As you know, Yossi mentioned, I was a design lead at Meta, Messenger, and Instagram. I was there for about a year plus and some change. And beyond that, I've done started startups. And, as he mentioned, in order to fund my crazy ass ideas, I was a full cycle recruiter on the side. And from that point on, I was able to fund my business ideas, test things out, see what works and see what fits. But fast forward today, I kind of took all of those learnings, and in this world today, more specifically, you guys are all going through it right now. And I believe some of the fellowship folks here actually use Rafa to apply to the fellowship. So we built a contextual applicant tracking system that is able to understand context, capture hard skills and culture fit from applicants without ever picking up the phone using async audio and AI. This day and age, everyone looks exactly the same from the LinkedIns, the profiles, because they have failed to truly capture who is everyone. Everyone has the same job title, same workplace, same education, but what makes you unique is your origin story. And that's what matters when it comes to a hiring decision. And so some of our customers can consist of Cal.com, GitHub, YC companies, Series A, B, and C, seed stage, recruiting agencies, and much more. And you know what's also interesting on the journey, and I kind of wrap this up, and we'll tie it towards the end of the night, is 7 years ago when I closed my first company, I actually built the first audio resume tool, because I was struggling trying to find a job after I closed my first company. And it's a funny story on that, but you're able to highlight key areas in the resume and be able to give more context, because the currency in recruiting is context. And unfortunately, everyone's stories and voices have been lost in the matrix. So we took those learnings 7 years ago, and we're starting at the beachhead, which is the ATS, to really go after not only the Workdays and the greenhouses of the world, but go after LinkedIn itself, because it has been a dumpster fire. But yeah, happy to dive into it more, but it'll be really interesting as we get towards the end of the night and we could dive into that.
Masoud, as we take some questions, guys, if you have questions, go in the Q&A or ask them. We'll take some questions from there. So I have some questions from Masoud. Masoud, you are a technical recruiter, a software engineering recruiter, if I may add, for some of the roles. So what was your experience like? How did you find candidates? What did you look at for what did you think about was a good candidate? What were the good signals, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I think so we kind of, as I mentioned, I took those learnings as me actually doing the job as a recruiter. Unfortunately, it was very difficult to go off of surface level materials, because LinkedIn and resumes don't tell the full story. Oftentimes you see a great candidate that has like a PhD or went to this amazing CS school, but once it got to the hiring manager and once it got to the process, kind of flopped. Not being able to explain your design decisions on how you got to that solution, because hard skills and coding is one thing, but can you actually back up everything that you say that's on paper? So for us, when I'm hiring within my own company, and when I was hiring for other companies, and when I'm looking at how people are using Rafa, they're actually going above and beyond the hard skills. Because if everyone can write code, and if we're seeing that AI is doing all the coding, what makes you more unique? And so being able to talk about storytelling, product strategy, how do you deal with trade-offs? These are the elements that those LinkedIns and resumes have failed to capture. And I'm able to have a good sense, a good eye of who actually can build something from the ground up. And it's usually folks that just have a bunch of side projects, that enjoy being in the trenches, because those trenches are like your battle wounds. They have so many stories to tell once you get into a product org like a Meta. Because my time at Meta, 80% of my time as a design lead, I was just communicating with my entire engineering team, on what's the right thing to do versus actually designing. Because if everyone's here is on an IC track, you're going to either go through a player coach route where you're going to be leading a team eventually, or you can go to management route. And one thing's evident is being able to communicate your design decisions, your rationale is what will separate you from the rest of the pack, because anyone can reach a solution, but can you explain? It's almost like, have you seen those spelling bees where they give a word and they say, use it in a sentence? It's the same concept when you get to building products. Can you actually explain how you got there, if that makes sense?
So do you see the Q&A chat? Like I'm
Yeah,
just,
yeah, actually,
just take like 2, 3 and then.
yeah. I am. So Derek, when building Rafa, were you faced with competitors trying to solve the same problem? If so, what was your strategy? So Derek, one thing I want to make very clear to everyone in this chat, competition, like dealing with competitors is for losers. I don't have time for that. Don't have time for it. Because the more energy you put into your competitors, the more it occupies space in your brain, pulls you away from what you do best, which is building. But on top of that, you get pulled away from your customers. So I could give two shits about who's doing what, because ideas, dime a dozen. It's all about execution. I could do one more. How do you start a startup? From Aiden, Paul Graham says, don't look for a startup, look for a problem. So with that question, Aiden, for me, I actually went off of my own life experiences, right? When I built this product, I was a candidate at one point and became a hiring manager at one point. And one thing's evident is that candidates are struggling right now to separate themselves from the rest of the pack, since everything looks exactly the same. How do you provide context if no one's willing to listen? So I always put myself in my customer shoes and start from problems that I face as a builder, or regardless of the industry that you're building for, you gotta be able to start from a focal point of where problems may have come across in your journey and build a business around it and see if there's an opportunity and if people are willing to pay for it. And so that's kind of like the best way I will look. If you guys plan on starting a company after this fellowship, which I encourage you to do because it will give you more experience than any MBA program, any type of master's or PhD, nothing against it. But building your wings on the way down will allow you to kind of see what will come to fruition versus not.
All right. Awesome. Thank you so much for your talk and answering the questions. I really appreciate you taking your time out. Now I'd like to transition over to the next speaker. We have Kamran. Are you here?
Well, actually, Kamran's making his way here. Uh, but Masoud, I did want to ask you, you're a CEO now. Is it okay we ask you like 1 or 2 more questions?
Yeah. I'm here. My kids are eating their dinner right now, so like, yeah, absolutely.
Can you walk us through like what it's like to pitch? Because today you pitched A16Z. Josh has raised 200 million from A16Z. You today pitched the same investors. What was that experience like? And you've also pitched probably a couple hundred investors at this point. What is your mentality going into a call? How do you keep sane and confidence? And what do you do next?
You know, for me, I have a different, like some people might deliver the same message differently, but when I go into these pitch meetings, I actually go into it knowing that these people are not my friends. They are not going to be buddy with you in the first round. You need to be able to deliver your vision with the less words as possible in a short amount of time, and being very concise on where you're starting versus where you're going. And so being able to set yourself up where within your pitch, you're answering 90% of their questions, and the rest of the 30-minute meeting that you have is just simply Q&A. That's the ideal environment you want to be in versus leaving things open-ended in these pitches. And so for A16 earlier today, I took about 3 minutes, jump into my pitch. I had all their credentials ready for them to log in. I even went above and beyond to have one of their portfolio jobs LinkedIn ready to go. So being able to think 5, 6 steps ahead where they don't need to second guess your credibility because that's what they're looking at. For me, I'm in the seed stage. And typically investors look at team first versus idea and on top of the execution. So is this the right person to build this company for the next 10 years? And so being able to set the stats of where I've been, why I'm the right person for this job, and why you should actually fucking care right now is how you get people's attention for the next meeting. And one thing that I've learned is no is still an answer for me. So being able to like just quickly get a no as quickly as possible allows me to move on. And so I think that's the mentality that I personally go through is everyone in here in this room wants to make money and not friends at the moment. This is a business and they all care about them greenbacks. So I usually go in that mentality that we're not just building a $10 million company, a $100 million company. We're doing a 10 billion plus company. This is why you should care.
Yeah, that's excellent. Also, Masoud, can we ask like who is your co-founder? Want to talk about like who was your co-founder before him being your co-founder? Like I think he had one of the most ridiculous resumes before, and he was.
Yeah.
Can I share that? Yeah.
Yeah, fucking Marcelo, man. So him and I known each other for quite some time, and we've always wanted to build a company together. But life happened. I had 2 beautiful babies. He has kids, shit like that. But I actually left Meta before I brought him on because I immediately started selling our product. As soon as I got the first yes, I dipped. And Marcelo was a tech lead at Cloud Kitchens, tech lead at Yahoo, Salesforce, Amazon, all these places. You know, has all the fucking logos. And so he was, you know, making some very good money to the point where I had to get the blessings from the wife to dip because I told him that we're going to make more money there. So he's fantastic. And I think some of the elements that the reason why I love working with Marcelo is he gets the UI, he gets the user experience, he gets the design side. He knows how things are supposed to look, which allows us to move faster. Like I don't need to spend 30 minutes on a prototype or animation because he fucking gets it. And so having a product mindset allows an engineer, everyone that's in this room, being able to think about the user experience versus is my code going to break, is going to benefit you in the long run. So with Marcelo, it allows us to move faster. We don't dilly-dally on the nuances because we know what we need to do. And that allows us to move faster at the end of the day. And so having that type of seniority on my side, on the design and engineering on his side, it's a pretty solid team, I'd say so.
And
Oh,
Masoud, you want to mention what level Marcelo was at Facebook before joining?
so he was he wasn't at Facebook, he was at Amazon Salesforce.
Yeah.
I think he was like L6, L7, or whatever the fucking levels are, but he was up there. He was cool. One question I saw in the chat is how do you know when you have the right co-founder from Maximilian? So this is the last thing I'm gonna say, but that is by far the most important fucking question in this chat. This is a very fucking lonely world in this startup game. You don't want people that will literally fold at a competitor coming in, a user saying something, an investor saying no. You want absolute dogs that are willing to fight until they get paid. And so for me, I knew Marcelo for a very long time, but I've also known people that I was looking to bring on that were absolute flops. Great resumes, great PhDs, but literally could not even hold their water when shit hit the fan. So I highly, highly, highly encourage is simply ask them, what are you afraid of when starting a company? And that will unlock many different avenues that you can definitely ask and drill down on before you make that commitment. Because once that face is on that deck and you send it out to your investors, you put your reputation on the line. And so that is the mentality and the severity when deciding who you want to work with and really iron out the details. Sorry for going on the tangent there, but that one really hit home for me because I ran into issues years ago over going with the wrong person at the wrong time and etc.
Masoud, do you see someone here said that we need Masoud for upcoming sessions? Upcoming. Guys, it does Masoud is giving Masoud is like it's like Nabil's like clone, right? Masoud and Nabil will have good chemistry. I'll introduce you guys, Masoud. I know you've been trying to meet him for a minute. So guys, can we have some love for Masoud? Can we please have some
Thank
love for
you.
Masoud? Yeah, Masoud, you see that?
Yeah, geez, like you guys are like spamming the dubs right now. Look, man, I'm just a guy that's in the trenches right now, and I'm just telling you what I'm seeing. And so I think everyone's in good hands with this fellowship. I think you guys are well on your way. You guys are doing the right thing. Um, but at the end of the day, it comes down to you. How badly do you want it? Because there's someone next to you that wants your lunch money as well. And so I have kids to feed, I have a wife that I need to provide for. And by any means necessary, I'm gonna fucking make sure of it. And so, like I said,
I love
it
it.
comes
I
down
love it. Masoud, you talked about provision and jobs. Let's get some people hired. Let's get some people hired. I know you got a lot of jobs. I know you got a
yeah,
lot
we
of jobs.
all jobs. And so one
Yeah.
thing I would like to provide in insights is that we have a lot of founders from YC that are just graduating looking for founding engineers.
Yeah.
And one thing that we've learned so far since launching Rafa, I'm gonna tell you one story, and I feel like please feel free to take me off stage. I feel like I'm
Your
overdoing
time
it.
is up, my guy, but you take that for 30 seconds because Kamran's next. So Kamran's gonna talk snack. He talk snack on you.
Yeah, dude, I feel like yeah, sorry, Killer Cam. Last thing, these founding engineers, we got a bunch of roles that people are looking for to get filled, like from YC. But one thing that is evident is that this YC founder that has their founding engineer role open versus the GitHub manager that uses Rafa for his roles, they're looking for the same person. They're looking for the 10x engineer that is able to do multiple things at once, but have product sense and product strategy when it comes to their design decisions and a level of trust behind that and confidence. And so beyond the coding side, on top of answering the technical questions that people add on, like being able to explain your design decisions is essential. And putting in the hours, especially with these YC companies, they want someone that isn't afraid to take risk and things like that. So being risk averse will benefit you in the long run beyond coding and shipping good code.
Awesome, awesome. Thank you so much. Sajjad, you want to wrap up and introduce Kamran?
Yeah, thank you, Masood, for that.
No
We got a lot
problem.
of love for you from the chat. Next up, we got Kamran. He is a graduate from UC Berkeley, computer science and sociology, a variety of different experiences, both hedge fund wise, software engineering wise, and now CEO and co-founder. I don't want to introduce him too much because I want him to talk a little about of his own journey and experiences. So, can we give a warm welcome in the chat to Kamran?
Thanks so much for the intro, Sajad. Yeah, really excited to be here. I, like many of you, started in the trenches as well, and clawed my way into becoming an engineer. But yeah, like my background is traditionally, I started, my career as wanting to be an investment banker, as many people want to be. And that kind of like I tried my hand at like doing some things. I worked at a hedge fund. Worked at a wealth management fund. And yeah, like that lifestyle was just not like right for me. And so like I think yeah, that's kind of where I have a background in finance. And then I also studied software engineering at Berkeley. So, kind of have a mixture of experiences that led me to building what I'm building today, but would love to engage with some of y'all and yeah, what should I talk about? That's what I would like to know.
I guess talk to us about what prompted you from kind of your background in corporate to building your own thing now.
Yeah. So, I always wanted to be a builder. I actually built a few startups while I was going to Berkeley. They didn't end up panning out as I expected because a lot of, ideas you have in college are more so like end up being consumer facing. I kind of dive into what we built there while I was at Berkeley. I was basically really poor, so I didn't want to pay for Spotify. And so we essentially built this Spotify competitor, which sourced free music from like all different sources of free music. So you name it, YouTube, SoundCloud, Vimeo, whatever. And we would take your Spotify playlists and aggregate it across multiple sources and allow you to play it without ads. And it was really successful for like 3 weeks before we got a cease and desist from the record industry. And so yeah, like that's where I got my start. I wanted to always build something that allowed people access to things. And that was like my idea of giving people access to music for free and listening to playlists. However, getting a cease and desist, I guess maybe that's a rite of passage, but it was that was my journey at Berkeley. And then I realized like building cool things wasn't like the only thing you need to know when building a business. You also have to have like an idea of how to scale a business, have ideas on business models. So I thought like after graduating, I didn't go to like a corporate job. I had some offers, but I ended up going and working at a startup, mainly because working at startups gave me like the person I worked with gave me an insight into exactly how to run a business, and that's what I always wanted to do. I wanted to build a business of my own. So the first firm I worked at was in financial services. I was like their only engineer. And so I kind of got to understand their inner workings of how they built a system. I got like the ownership of building the system for them since I was their main engineer. So that's a little bit about what we did there. We automated paying taxes and filing insurance claims for folks with a lot of money. And so that's kind of where I got my start. It was like before AI was like all LLM based, you would end up doing a lot of like if else statements and like a lot of stuff in the trenches. So that's kind of what I built before this. And then, yeah, kind of wanted to build something when everyone started building AI.
Nice, nice. And there are some people here in Headstarter who are on a certain track in which they're trying to gain their first 1,000 users for like a project they're trying to deploy. Do you have any advice for how to get those like because it's the hardest, right?
Yeah. I guess it really depends on what you're building. In my experience of building something that was like consumer facing, that whole like Spotify clone thing, it was really just like something that I personally would be a customer of. And so the thing is like, like if you have a thought of building something and it's for someone like yourself, there are a good chance, there's a really good chance there's like thousands of people like you out there. And so like for me, like, I was serving college students that didn't have money to pay for Spotify. And it was like, yeah, my crowd was the people I was with. And so I sold to everyone on campus. I got like really quickly, I got like a following of people. And, we did some funny tactics of like doing things that don't scale. We like threw a party and we had our music service be the host of the party. So like you could add stuff to the playlist and whatnot. But yeah, that's consumer facing. I think like really it comes down to like if you need to know how to figure out like how to distribute the thing that you're building. So for what we're building right now, um, it's like a more B2B space in financial services, which is where my background is in. So I can sell to financial services folks. So whatever niche you're going to go down, you end up having to figure out how to do the distribution and what edge do you have there. And sometimes you don't even need an edge. Maybe you can be really good at evangelizing people on the internet, and that's also really meaningful.
Awesome. Yeah. So I think what you bring up is a good idea. It's like don't start something for the sake of making money. Start something because there's a problem that needs a solution. So I agree with that a lot. And now I kind of want to take some questions from either the chat or the Q&A. Um, Anyone want to post a question there? Okay. How do you figure out pricing with your AI project? Some of these models are expensive.
Hmm. Yeah, no, it's a really important question to think about. Pricing your AI product is actually probably the most difficult thing I think that you could ask. Even I wouldn't know the answer to that question because I think pricing really comes down to you figuring out the value to the person you're serving. And so that can come in all different sorts of ways. A lot of the times people end up pricing due to how much cost savings you can provide a person. But that doesn't necessarily correlate to value brought to the individual. So in our case, like we're a tool that helps you process documents really quickly and allows you to be able to cut the costs on document processing in comparison to other existing tools. Now that's a value, reduction, like basically like cost reduction strategy, but it's not really about, we don't know what type of value it's giving the end user, which is an engineer. And if figuring out pricing really comes down to you figuring out like what the value is to the end user, specifically for doing AI projects and choosing LLMs for that cost basis, I think like it really and it comes down to figuring out actually what how much you would charge your end user before you end up going down the rabbit hole of like choosing models and which models you should be using, because you have to really build a basis for, does it make sense for me to use an LLM, and is it cost effective for me to build what I'm building? Will someone be willing to stand on the other side and pay me like, the value of your costs plus two or something like that, or whatever cost you're trying to come up with?
Let's see. What's your biggest struggle day to day building a startup?
Yeah, one of the biggest struggles actually is keeping up with the influx. Like, so sometimes like you have a pipeline of customers, and obviously this is a double-edged sword. You can either have no customers, so you have to go source them, and that's becomes really difficult. You have to like talk to hundreds of people. So before we actually ended up launching our service, we had to talk to like around like 1,000 builders, and it was really grueling process. But that process really informed us what people wanted, what they would pay for, and eventually, I'm a builder at heart, but like doing that process really informed what you should be building. And then day to day today is like really like just delivering promises to customers that you already have on board. So we have like 5 pilot customers, a few proof of concepts running, and then we have a pipeline of customers that are just waiting that we can't serve just because we are at this moment in time only a team of 2 or 3 people. So yeah, it's really about like keeping up with the people that you are bringing on in terms of like customers, and then also sourcing customers can be really difficult at the earliest stages, because there's thousands of people building similar products to you probably out there, and finding the edge and then selling them and keeping them is like a great challenge sometimes.
All right. Um, let's see. Were you looking for a startup or just popped out and then you started working on it?
No. So I actually I was working on a startup that was separate to what I'm building now. So it really actually started for us as like a mission-based thing. So like I said, last firm I worked for really managed assets for really wealthy folks. And so I had a wealth of knowledge of how to make rich people richer. And so the startup that I wanted to build was getting that knowledge and having it trickle down to like the bottom 10% of folks. So a lot of the times, if you aren't super wealthy, you can't get access to a financial advisor. And so we ended up building a tool that would help give financial advice to folks that were just consumers and people that didn't have a ton of money. And yeah, we built the product out. It was like, it wasn't, the hard part was actually not building the product out. It turned out to become getting people that are, you know, your customers to trust that we're not doing anything malicious with their data, specifically in finance. Like, the first step to getting an online financial advisor or a financial advisor chatbot is to connect your bank account. And, it can get a little bit, people can have a really difficult time trusting you. So that's where we started. And we realized that we had to build that trust building exercise, and we couldn't do that. And so we ended up getting into like some accelerators at the same time, and ended up interviewing a lot of folks for what their problems were. And that's how we found the problem we're working on today. Yeah, so it goes back to, we wanted to build something, but it didn't turn out to be the thing that we were building now, because it ended up having to go through like thousands of people of what they wanted as a need. So we kind of stumbled on it, but the other thing that we wanted to build was not accessible at that moment.
Gotcha. All right, cool. So, Kamran, thank you so much for your presentation, and handling and answering all those questions. I think that was very, very helpful. Can we all get some love for Kamran in the chat, please?
Just some basics. Kamran has been part of 2 accelerators, including Berkeley Skydeck Accelerator, alongside with Alchemist, which is a top B2B sales accelerator. And now he's in the hunt for funding, as we all are. So, and looking for interns potentially.
Of course, yeah, no, we're always looking for interesting folks to build with, and we're building a tool that helps people build other agents. And so, like, always looking for cool people building things, and I would love to chat if anyone wants to.
Yeah. So awesome. All right.
All right. So now we have hackathon winners. I think we can bring them up. Yasin, could you make them panelists?
Yep, absolutely. Who's hyped to hear the hackathon winners? Top 3 hackathon winners out of 1,200 team submissions. So Amir, you're there. Yeah. Okay. Each hackathon team will have 2 minutes, and yeah, should we just kick it off with
Yeah, go ahead.
Go ahead. Go ahead, Sajid. Go ahead, Amir.
Wait, what was that? Do you want to go?
Yeah, Amir, are you there?
Yeah. Hello, everybody. I'm audible.
Yeah, are you able to share your screen? Awesome. Just to give a heads up, Amir is actually in a different country right now. We have a very diverse group here. And Amir published an NPM package. The way we took people's winning teams for Head Starter is they had traction. Amir had incredible traction from the open source pull request he made and published. He got nearly 20 stars within a few hours. Since then, he has probably way more now. Amir, please talk about what you published, open source, and how you got your first users.
Yes, thank you. Hi, everybody. This is Amir Hamza, and I belong to Praxi. That is more about open source things. So I went for NPM package. Its name is Red Form Validator Mini. You may say like Red Form Validator. So actually, it's more about validation and form handling. You might have seen the validation issues while doing with the forms. That is a very major security issue too. Uh, in this library or package, I combined 2 most widely used packages. One of them is Formic, and the other one is Yup Resolver, that is used to design schemas for the input fields. And the Formic is used for form handling, like inputting values, handling the submission, and such stuff. Okay. So I just this is the readme file. You can properly that is a validation. Yeah, it's built on the top of TypeScript. So can import the validation schema and use validation from the React Form validator. And then also there are few validations which I could edit within the time frame. One of them is required. Whether the field is required, you can add the required validation. There is also another option to add the custom message, like the message you want to show, rather than just showing that this field is required, you can add your custom message. And also for the email, you can validate the email type input field. You can add the minimum length, max length, and also you can provide the regular expression. So you don't find the validation, you just give the regex. You will validate the input field against that pattern. So this is the example. And they come to the repo. Yeah, yes, I got 39 stars. And I just checked my npm package. I just got like 70 plus downloads last week. Yes, it's 0 now, but I got 70 plus downloads last week.
How many downloads?
70 plus.
70 plus downloads. That's crazy. Can you drop your npm package here? Maybe if we're building our own projects, we can use your code. If we're doing full
It's like npm. I'll share in the chat.
just share the link here. Who wants to use, like, imagine that head starters building on top of head starter stack. Isn't that crazy? Like the next npm package you guys build, someone from a head starter built it. So that's great. Can we share some love for Amir? Can we share some love? Amir, all right. So with that being said, Jahan, are you here, Jahan?
Yeah, I'm here. Can you hear me?
Awesome. Yeah, Amir, please stop sharing your screen, and Jahan, please begin. Go straight into the demo or your presentation, your demo. Go ahead, Jahan.
All right.
And guys, by the way, Jahan is a second place winner, and he had over 1,000 people go on his website and 300 users sign up the same day of the stuff. So very, very accomplished here, Jahan. You had the most traction of 1,200 teams. So go ahead.
Thank you, Yasin. So I'm just gonna go right into the demo. So our app was basically just a budgeting app, and to create this app, we just use Supabase for the backend and use it to create the authentication. So you can sign in with Google, and you can also just sign in with your email address and password. So I'm just gonna do that for the demo. And so essentially, here, let me refresh. So essentially, we had everything all in one place. So our budgeting app allows you to create a budget and add expenses and see everything all in one page. So for the sake of the demo, I already created a budget right here, but we can also just create one right now. You can just say for miscellaneous. And yeah, so just like that, you can have your budget created and you can add to that budget. Say food. So yeah, we wanted to keep everything very simple. We kept it all in one page, but you can also just click on the budgets themselves to see the specific details. And yeah, so our motivation behind the app was simply just to create something simple and like the theme of the hackathon, to create something that people would use. And honestly, like it was such an amazing experience because we didn't expect it to go as far as it did. And to get the users that we did, like you said, we had over actually over almost 5,000 page visits, at least up to now. We started by you know, just going through our own personal networks. Like one of my team members, Suri, he's from a small town in India, and we reached out to as many people as we could. And before we knew it, the numbers just started climbing. And so yeah, you can also just delete anything, delete any budget, everything you'd expect in a budgeting app. We plan to add more to this app in the future, such as just integrating it with Plaid, so everything is done for you. But yeah, that's basically it.
Awesome. Can we have a round of applause? That was a very straight to the point, quick demo. John, you have a public Vercel app. Can you please share the public Vercel app? Today, you're about to get 200 more users. Drop in the chat. Guys, can we all like use the app, give them some like feedback or something? Yo, some people in the past said in the Pathways to Tech events, the best, most memorable moments were that when people presented their own project. Is that true? Do you guys like when we present people's project? Is this cool? Is this we want more? Want more of this? So, you guys love this? Again, how many users do you have now, John? How many users?
How many users?
Yeah.
Let me check.
Yeah, show us the analytics. Show us the analytics. Show us the Firebase. Show us everything. Show us the
So
yeah.
yeah, so here's our page analytics. So this is
Wow.
what we use to track our analytics. And at this point, we're almost at 5,000 views. Um, and so as for the users, I think you might have misspoke, but we're at I think around like 30 plus users that were verified and signed up. So see. So I don't know I forgot how to display like the total users, but I don't have a total user count. But yeah, the number is I think at least 30. But for the analytics, at this point it's around 5K page visits.
Hey, you have
For
419
this,
users, man. You have 419 users. Go back to your analytics page because you weren't presenting in the hackathon. Your partner was. Go back. Where do you guys see 419? Bottom. Look at the bottom.
oh
You
yeah,
have 419
yes.
users. Drop your link right now. You're about to have another 500. Let's get him to 500 real time. Get him to 500 real time. Drop the link right now. All right, guys. Let's get this man to 500, and then he will have a story to tell everyone. Let's go. Let's go. I'm creating my account. Once you're done with creating an account, come here and say done. This is what the community does, right? We support each other to get everyone's backs. And all right. And you might want to hide your screen real quick or go to a different screen.
Oh yeah, sorry.
Yeah. All right. Looks like one person created an account. I'm creating my account, guys, and let's get them to five. Let's get them to 500. All right. How many are we at right now? What are we looking? Awesome. Let's get the last team to present. Can we have a round of applause for John? That was a great demo. Can we have a round of applause for John? John, you see the love?
Thank you, thank you. Yeah, I see the numbers going up. It's crazy. Thank you, Yasin.
Awesome. Let me know when you got the 500. You got the 500? Just unshare your screen and just let us know in the chat, okay? Once you hit the 500. Sharia, you're there? Sharia?
Yeah, I'm here. I'm here.
All right. Sharia, I'm super excited to share your demo. Guys, you guys want to know something about Sharia? He had him and his team worked, literally didn't sleep over the weekend. They had one of the best team collaboration projects and very great UI. They had 50 signups. They had a mobile app too, is it? Or this is an example?
It's a web app, but it's
Web app.
available on mobile.
Yeah. So Sharia, take away the presentation, and then I'll drop a nugget, a bomb in front of everyone.
All right. So the travel advising industry is worth like about $42 billion. And we go to like travel advisors to see like what's the right fit for us. And we can look on these like, oh, world's best places to visit for like 2023 to 2024. But none of these are suited to us, and we can't actually like learn that much about it in one place. So we made CitySwipe. It's basically a Tinder-like dating app for vacation spots where you can learn about, laugh at, match with, and fall in love with your next vacation. So let me just get in here. So I live in the USA, and I'm looking for a luxury destination, and I speak English and German, let's say. And yeah, I'd be comfortable. And then I want to go in the summer, let's say. and I prefer warm weather, beach, and I like swimming, running, cycling, soccer, uh, soccer and cricket, let's say. Um, and I have no dietary restrictions. Um, and I like local cuisine and none. And yeah, no. Okay. And then I'll just find my match, and then my matches will load with a bunch of cards that the Gemini API will basically create. Um, I should have loaded a fresh key. Let me just check. 1 second. Should be no issues. Your matches are loading. I think it might be a key issue. Let me check the backends, but I can probably show you like part of it from the video. Give me a second. Yikes. Here. Let me pull up the video for you. 1 second. So, okay, go in here. Right now we actually have like the pictures on them, right? And using Pexels API, which kind of generates images based on text you give it, right? And we can swipe left and right on destinations to see if we like them based on how they look, where they are, whatever. And then once you've matched with things, you can chat with them and ask them questions about anything about their city, like I want food in Japan, and it'll actually like respond with something interesting, because we've prompt engineered it to make it a little bit like flirtatious, but also like informative. And we also had like fine tuning for Gemini, and a fun fact about it is that we've actually coded like 9K plus lines of code in just the 36 hours allotted. The swiping animations were actually really hard to make. And later on, we did implement Pexels API to make the images on there go on there. And I think we have around 100 users on our like waitlist for the full release. You see?
Yeah, Shreya. Hey, can we have a round of applause for Shreya? I think this was definitely one of the coolest projects out there. Shreya, please drop the link in the chat, please.
Yeah, sure.
Drop the link.
I
Guys,
will have to put in a new API key because I think the API got overflowed.
sure. 7,000 lines of code, no joke. 36 hours, no joke. The crazy thing about Shreya, you guys ready for the bomb? You guys ready for the bomb? The crazy thing about Shreya, Shreya, are you in college?
No, I'm a high school student.
Oh my God, that's crazy. Isn't that crazy? He's in high school. And the second crazy thing is after 36 hours of hacking and winning, he showed up to our in-person event in DMV last week.
Oh, that
Or 2 weeks ago.
oh,
2 weeks ago.
yeah.
Yeah, right? 2 weeks ago. So that was that's called dedication right there. So yeah, just drop